The biggest stock market crash is still coming. And this was after the 2008 crash. And the reason I could predict that 2008 crash was just a prelude for the bigger crash coming, which we are in today in 2022. I mean, even China's crashing today. Because they never fixed the problem. In fact, the whole problem is that the global economic system is rigged. It's called the central bank system. The Bank of Japan, the Bank of England, Bank of Japan, and stuff like this. This whole system is rigged. So Fuller passed away in 1983. In 84, his book came out called The Grunch of Giants. And I'm reading Grunch of Giants, and Grunch of Giants stands for Gross Universal Cash Heist. It's how our wealth is stolen via our money. And that fit my whole internal belief system. If you don't believe it, you think he's a whack job. But in 1984, I said, man, this guy is onto it. Fuller's onto it. So I read Grunch of Giants, and that's how I can write books like Prophecy. And the way I'm not just blowing smoke today is go get the book. And so what happened, 2008 crash, and then that set up the biggest, as you know, because your experience on Wall Street, it set up the biggest bull market in history. But it was based upon fake money. They just kept printing more, using more debt. Because as you know, money is debt. If we don't borrow money, money doesn't exist. So money comes into existence because every time you use a credit card, take out a mortgage, buy a car, that's when money is created. And that goes back to 1913. Again, the Federal Reserve Bank was created. And then in 1913, in America, the Internal Revenue Service was created, the IRS, because money cannot exist without debt and taxes. So I'm sitting there going, holy moly. And as you know, in 2021, China collapsed. And that's why COVID appeared again. Notice that? So Evergrande, which is the biggest, I think it's bigger than Lehman Brothers crash. And Evergrande's going down. Now, when real estate goes down, it's a financial crash more than anything else. They have 90 million condos in China not occupied. So what that does is it's this big sucking sound, like it's going down the toilet right now. When real estate goes down, it takes all the economies of the world with it. Like, Australia, one of my favorite countries, ships a lot of supplies to China. And Australia was booming because China was booming with real estate. And so in 2021, when it collapsed, that means Australia collapses more. But that's why I think Australia locked the country down also. Everybody to stay indoors and all this. I personally think they're afraid of civil unrest. I think that's why COVID appeared, September 17, 2019, our repo market collapsed. And the repo market is the shadow banking system, as they call it. You don't see that market, but I'm watching the shadow banking system. And when the repo market collapsed in September 17, 2019, voila. COVID appeared. A lot of the people giving financial advice, all they know is a bull market. You see, they were born, just prior to 2008. They're now probably, let's say, 25 years old. They're financial planners, real estate brokers. And all they know is the S&P keeps going up. Don't fight the Fed. I mean, they're idiots. But unfortunately, without financial education in our schools, you can't blame them. But they don't know what a bear market looks like, and they don't know what inflation looks like, because inflation has made them rich. Because the Fed, what do they say? 40% of all money was printed in the last 2 years, or some stuff like that. I don't know if it's true or not. But the M2, the money supply, is so huge today because they're trying to prevent the balloon from collapsing. They're desperate. Well, I think why is there inflation is they're trying to prevent the collapse. And Jim Rickards, he's one of the smartest guys I know. He says, prepare, we're going to collapse. And as you know, people don't understand, most 98% don't understand this. The dollar is a reserve currency of the world, which came about in 1944 with the Bretton Woods Agreement. We can just keep printing money. But the rest of the world's collapsing right now. And everybody depends upon the US printing. But that's why I watch China. And when Evergrande came down in 2021, the biggest real estate collapse in history, bigger than 2008. And all of a sudden, they lock people down with COVID. I'm going, I've seen this story before because it happened in 2019. They're desperate, Brian. They're desperate. They're looking for anything that can stop this thing. But when, every time they said to me, don't fight the Fed, I'm saying, don't trust the Fed was my stay. Why would I trust those SOBs? They're a central bank system. The Rothschilds and all those guys control them. The richest families in the world control the central banks. And you said you pull the curtain aside. It's like the story of the Wizard of Oz. You pull the curtain aside. There's a little guy back there called the Fed chairman trying to keep the economy from collapsing them. But they're going to keep printing and printing and printing until the thing is destroyed. I've been saying that for years. Oil went from $30 a barrel to $130 a barrel in a few days. So in other words, inflation went through the roof. It wiped out the middle class and the poor. But a guy like me who invests in oil wells, not oil stocks, I made so much money because when the price of oil went up to 130, I'm creaming it right now. Unfortunately, it's killing the poor and middle class because they can't put gas in the car, they can't buy groceries, and then they can't afford to shop. So I see all the clothes on sale everywhere and all this. That's how I see the world from very economic point of view, but real economics. And this was book number 2. If I could show it to you, it's this cash flow quadrant.
Oh yeah.
And the 4 people in capital or money all throughout the world. You have employees, small business, self-employed. You have big business, 500 employees or more, and you have I. It stands for insider. It doesn't stand for investor. So I always invest from the inside. And people say, well, isn't insider trading illegal? Yeah, for these guys. It's legal for these guys. The other thing is taxes, like Ocasio-Cortez, he's a communist from New York. She says tax the rich. Well, the only people that pay taxes are employees. They pay 40%. This is global. It's pretty much set by the central banks like the Rothschilds. And then S, the small business, the small entrepreneur, somebody says, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. They pay 60% taxes. So the small entrepreneur is crushed all from the start. But big business is 500 employees or more, defined by the Internal Revenue Service, the tax department, is 20%, and insiders pay 0. So when I was about 18 years old, my rich dad pulls me aside because this is my poor dad here. Go to school, get a job. My mom wanted to become a doctor. I'm going, Evans, no, Mom. You have to be smart. S stands for smart. She said, you're right, don't be a doctor. And B stands for big business entrepreneur. This is Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and all those guys.